it's been a dismal summer for restaurants and cafes across Spain. They were allowed to reopen in June, but tourists did not come in their usual droves due to global travel restrictions. And with COVID-19 cases rising again, the government's ordering establishments to serve fewer diners and close earlier. The industry is now calling for government aid in the form of tax cuts.
What we believe is that part of this budget should be destined for the sector that has been gravely affected and is a disaster zone both economically and for employment.
Spanish lawmakers are still discussing a budget that companies hope will include a generous response to the economic crisis. But Europe's monetary authority has taken a more conservative approach.
Our mandate is price stability. And clearly, to the extent that appreciation of the euro exercise negative pressure on prices, we have to monitor carefully such a matter.
During its policy meeting this week, the ECB decided to keep borrowing costs at zero. It's also maintaining its pandemic emergency purchase program at $1.6 trillion. That's despite August inflation expected to come in at 0.2%, well below the bank's 2% target. Low inflation may be welcomed by consumers, but it's a sign that people are spending less, which is bad for the economy. The ECB's dovish stance also comes amid an appreciation in the euro. The currency's up 5% against the dollar since July. That makes the continent's exports more expensive. Analysts say the ECB could be forced to act if Europe's economy falters.
Economists seem to think that the ECB will act again in December and increase the amount of monetary stimulus if the economy remains sluggish. And if inflation remains very low, it's well below the ECB's 2% target and could even go negative in the coming month.
The Eurozone shrank 12% in the second quarter. But authorities say the current level of monetary stimulus will be enough to fuel a strong rebound in the coming months. Paolo Montecillo, TRT World.
For more, let's go to Peter Vanden Houte in Brussels. He's the chief economist of Dutch financial giant ING. Good to have you on the program with us. The European Central Bank decided to keep key interest rates and stimulus programs unchanged. But do you think that this is just a pause and that we'll see more stimulus measures later on in the year?
Yes, definitely. I think that the ECB is now in a kind of wait-and-see modus for the simple reason that it was in a difficult situation. And on the one hand, they see that activity is definitely improving in the third quarter. The third quarter will be quite strong in terms of growth. And there was also an upward revision in the growth forecast for this year. So it was a bit strange then that the ECB would have to add additional stimulus when at the same time they have increased their growth forecast and they did decrease their inflation forecast for the coming years. So for the time being, they decided, okay, that there's enough stimulus in place and that they can afford themselves to wait and see a bit more before they possibly do more.
Let's talk about the euro because a lot of people are talking about the euro these days. It's up 5% against the dollar since July. What's behind its strength lately?
Yeah, well, there's not so much specific reason. I would say that if you look at it's not definitely not because of the strength of the European economy, but you might say that the fact that in the US there's some more uncertainty regarding the political outlook for the coming months, that potentially has somewhat strengthened the euro. And at the same time, I believe that also the agreement that we had on the recovery fund in Europe was also something that reassured investors regarding the future of the euro and the stability of the euro, and that also led to some increase. But it's not really because of a strong European economy.
Mm-hmm. The ECB says it is concerned about the euro's gains, but not too concerned yet. At what point should the ECB be concerned?
Well, basically, I think they already should be concerned for the simple reason that the ECB themselves has published a study where they assess the impact of an appreciation of the euro on inflation, and actually a 10% appreciation of the euro in effective terms, so in trade-weighted terms, reduces inflation by 0.4 to 0.5%. So that's a lot, and we have already seen an appreciation of 8 to 9% in effective terms since February So in other words, this pressure will already start. Now, I was a bit disappointed by Christine Lagarde, because she had the occasion to talk the euro down, but she didn't do it. She was a bit too relaxed, and on the back of that, markets believe that the ECB doesn't care yet, and we saw the consequence that the euro appreciated further.
So how is this all complicating the ECB's job in terms of policymaking and the Eurozone's economic recovery?
Well, I think basically that there are already some dangers to the outlook. Yeah, the third quarter will be very strong, but that's cosmetic for the simple reason that we had the lockdowns in the second quarter, and now the economy has been opening up. So you will have some growth, but the virus is still there. The pandemic is still very strongly in Spain, in France, and so this will continue to weigh on the economy going forward. And actually, we already see that in August, some indicators have weakened somewhat. So you already see that this recovery is starting to soften a bit, and so stronger euro will add to that. And so that's basically the reason why we believe that the ECB probably will have to do more, and they can wait until December, but not much longer than that, I believe.
All right, we'll leave it there. Peter Vanden Houte in Brussels. Thank you.